Morning, everybody. Good to see you. We may or may not be online. I'm not sure. So if we are online, Jennifer says we are, welcome to our online visitors, and also welcome to everybody who's present here in the sanctuary. See some faces that haven't been here for a while. It's great to see you. Welcome back. And we're here just to celebrate life and to learn from each other and to be in this cathedral of kindness, which has been really interesting so far this morning. It's been a lot about technical issues and things that were unexpected, and what a great metaphor for life. All right, so we're going to hear from our youth and family person, Bill, who's coming forward right here and right now, ready to amaze us with his wisdom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, today I am honored to share something special with you. Garrett, would you come over here?
Yay!
So what are you doing next week?
I am graduating.
Yay!
Any special awards or honors?
I am getting a cord for going through the medical pathway at Ventura High School.
Yay!
Awesome. So what do you plan to do next?
Going to VC and getting into their RN program.
Oh, yay!
So how does that feel to you?
Scary!
Yay!
You know, our feelings are like our guidance system. They can help us decide what decisions to make and what actions to take. They are like a personal power, and we can choose how to respond to those feelings. And I'd like you to always remember, God, or the law, knows nothing of big or small. Mm-hmm. It does not say, I am big. It just says, I am. We all use the same law. It works the same way, regardless of who we are, what we have, or however long we have practiced. Our life lessons are created so we will all learn how the laws of the universe work for us. It is up to us to learn to work with them. So with that, Reverend Bonnie has something.
Yeah. Garrett. Oh, I have my, thanks. Garrett, this is for you. It's a small token of appreciation from the church. And gosh, I just want to say, that's really nice. I like that. So to all of the Garretts in the room, you know, I remember when you and your family, the first time you came to church, it was memorable because you were about this tall. And does anybody else remember? Yeah. And he was all over the stage. It was super fun. You had bright blonde hair. You were running all over the stage. We used to have a lady, Martha, who sat in a wheelchair over there, and you would jump into her lap, and she just loved it. She loved to see you. Do you remember that?
Nope.
Okay, then. Well, you were, do you remember that? No. You were really little, and it's been such a joy to watch you grow up. Do you remember that we used to put a guinea pig, and hide the guinea pig in a program, a picture of a guinea pig?
Yes, I do.
And we would, to help the Hadris boys stay focused for a little bit, your parents would ask you to find the guinea pig in the program. It's been such a journey, and I love your family so much. I love your parents, I love your brothers, and I love you, and I'm so excited you're going to be a nurse. How fun. And if you need any pointers, I don't remember much, but come to me, okay? So you are the face of God, and is there anything else, Bill? You want to say anything else?
Complete.
Okay, I think we're all complete. So let's give Garrett a big round of applause and welcome and congratulations. Yeah. Awesome.
I don't know how you said congratulations, said all that without crying, because I was over there teary-eyed having watched him grow up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
How fortunate are we to have an ongoing ministry that raises youth up in this philosophy. We are so fortunate. So dropping into that feeling of gratitude, I invite all the ministers and practitioners and future practitioners to stand up and join in this consciousness of prayer. So again, dropping into that open-hearted space within you and just feeling the gratitude, the joy, the love that flows in and through and around you, connecting each of us heart to heart, hand to hand, and knowing that we are connected to each and every individual on this planet in love, in joy, in peace. I know today is another day to surrender into that love of pure spirit and trust that the infinite is always guiding us into a better yet to be. So knowing that today was blessed before the sun even came up, with the breath of God flowing in and through and around everything. I celebrate this day with you. I celebrate this day as I stand in the holy presence of the one mind, the one heart, the I am. And then just relaxing, surrendering into this moment, allowing whatever needs to be heard as we listen with open ears, open hearts, and open minds, knowing it is already in action in our life. So with humility and gratitude, I simply release this word into the law of love, knowing it is already done. And I simply let it be, and together we say, and so it is.
Thank you. And love is truly in the house, in our hearts, in this beautiful sanctuary, in all of us that have been brought here by divine appointment, to love and to learn, and to learn to love. How wonderful it is to be here together as a community, and to breathe as one, and to recognize that we are the breath and the presence of God. Let us breathe and go deeper into our hearts, feeling ourselves relax into place, into beingness, as we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
True Surrender by Reverend Sapphire Rose. True surrender is not a one-time event or the poof that comes at the end of some mental magic. True surrender is a process, the gradual letting go of the small self to the big self in each moment. True surrender is the daily dying of our desires, our wants, our expectations, our grievances, and our attachments. It is the release of the thought pattern that tries to get what it wants at any cost. It is the release of the desire to have things go our way. It is the release of the habit pattern that resists wholeness and believes in appearances. It is the release of the expectation that something is wrong if it doesn't go according to our plans. True surrender requires an opening of the heart to the unknown. We must let go of what is known and let the grace of God reveal to us our next step, and then the next. True surrender is not an outward act, but an inner process of transformation that allows us to see with God's eyes, hear with God's ears, speak with God's words, and act with God's grace. Like the sculptor who chips away to reveal an image in a block of stone, true surrender is an awareness that chips away at that which no longer serves us. True surrender is an inner yielding of the soul that frees us to reveal the perfect pattern of our lives. Please affirm with me, I open my heart to Spirit and surrender the false beliefs about my life. I steady my gaze upon the perfect pattern of my life and release that which no longer serves me. I am radiant wholeness, clarifying beauty, and resplendent joy. And so it is.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. So for my first song today, I'm going to be singing Artist of My Soul. Of form and hue, who has created all things new, create in me from shapeless clay an instrument on which you play. God of the dance that planets tread, who walks beside and soars ahead. Oh, let me move to worship thee. Come, Holy Spirit, dance with me. God of the living word, poet of time, teach me your words in your cadence and rhyme. Oh, Lord of beauty, Lord of art, who gives a song for every heart. Carve out my life, reshape and mold, and be the artist of my soul. Teach me your words in your cadence and rhyme. Oh, Lord of beauty, Lord of art, who gives a song for every heart. Carve out my life, reshape and mold, and be the artist of my soul. Carve out my life, reshape and mold, and be the artist of my soul. Thank you.
Everything okay over there? Shanti, thank you so much. That was beautiful. And you too, Chris. And, you know, one of the most fun things to do while Shanti is singing is to look at her parents, right? So much love streaming from both of you. Will you stand up and just show you, the congregation, who you are? This is Marcus and Ava. So grateful that you are becoming part of our spiritual family from time to time. It's wonderful. You know, when I came in here this morning, as we mentioned when we were introducing the service, there was a lot of stuff going south, I guess is the way to put it, but just things that were a little bit off. It wasn't until Shanti was singing that I noticed that the Mystics aren't in the choir. Did they go on vacation? I don't know where they went. Maybe they're out like working on their tans or something, or I don't know where they are, but I'm hoping they come back next week because I love the Mystics. For those of you who are new here, we have a lot of interfaith figures in the choir, and I don't know, they just disappeared. So there you go. All right. So today I'm talking about surrender. I apologize. But it's actually a really beautiful thing. It's about opening the soul to receive all of life's riches. So I'm going to invite us to move past whatever resistance we might have to that word, and we'll go through a process together to do that. But to start out by doing a brief meditation together to open our hearts to the words that are coming forth today and into the consciousness of the community. So I'm going to ask you to turn within for just a moment and just let all of the joy of the service that has happened so far, the laughter, the love, the beautiful prayer, the reading, the music, the fellowship, just allow that to settle within you in this beautiful vortex, in this incubator of spiritual love and wisdom. And we breathe into that, and we feel ourselves relax and let go. And become aware of what it is that brought us here today. What is it that we're seeking? What is it that we're hoping to find, to gather in this service? And I ask you quietly and inwardly to repeat after me. We'll do this affirmation 3 times. I am open to receive all of life's riches. I am open to receive all of life's riches. And again with me. I am open to receive all of life's riches. And again, I am open to receive all of life's riches. And we breathe into the meaning of that for us. What does that look like for us? We may not even know. But together we trust that in this sacred community, that together we lift each other up. We lift each other up in the knowing of the highest and best life for each and every single person here today. Including ourselves and including the world around us. So let us breathe in deeply, containing all of that energy that cannot be contained. And then exhale, sharing it with the world, gently opening our eyes, being fully present here in the grace of this community. Thank you for doing that with me. I am open to receive all of life's riches. Are you? Okay, good. All right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't know. That would help. Okay. Nope. Okay. Nope. Nope. Should I try again? Okay. Yay! There's a kitty! All right, I'm going to stand up here so people can see. That's a kitty, if you didn't know. Okay. It's a kitty reading a book. And I posted this picture because I was reminded of when we first moved to California. I was attending the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. Some of you are very familiar with that center. And at that time, I didn't know I was going to be a minister, but I was thinking about being a practitioner. So I decided to read a novel about ministry. Do not remember what the book was. Have no clue. I remember liking it. The other thing I remember about it is that early on in the book, the minister, this fictional minister, said that there is a prayer that always works. So I read a little bit more. They still didn't get to the prayer that always works. Read a little bit more. Still no prayer that always works. I'm like, what is this prayer that always works? I need to know about that stuff because I need some stuff. I need to manifest some stuff right here and right now. How many of you have ever looked ahead in a book to see the ending before you get there, right? Yeah. So I looked ahead to find the prayer that always works. And I found out that it was this. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. I thought it was more about my will be done, but it's thy will be done. Now, granted, thy will and my will are somewhat the same because we are one with God, but thy will be done. Can anyone imagine my reaction to that? It was something like this. The name of this talk is Surrender Scary? Because some of us are afraid to surrender. And I think that there's surrender is a really positive thing on the spiritual path, but a lot of us resist it. A lot of us resist it because of various reasons. I'm just curious, what is your relationship to surrender? How many people love surrender? Just give me a show of hands or a show of pinkies. Yeah, so some of you love surrender, right? How many of you are put off by the idea of surrender? Yeah, I know, same here, sometimes. And how many of you know that surrender is really a great spiritual principle, and you want to do it, and you do it a lot, but there are still exceptions? I saw the most hands go up on that one, right? Right? There are still exceptions to where we want to surrender. Part of that has to do, I think, with our definition of surrender. Our common definitions of surrender means giving up, losing, throwing in the towel. What else? Anybody else have any other ideas? Just call them out. Letting go. Letting go. Say what? Resigning. Anybody else? Stop fighting? Yeah. Stop biting, too. I thought you said stop biting, but that, too, yeah. Stop practicing the art of allowing. Okay, all right. So those are all common definitions of surrender. And you can see why many of those, perhaps letting go and practicing the art of allowing. Letting go isn't always so much fun. Practicing the art of allowing isn't always so much fun. But some of those, like losing, giving up, resigning, all of that, sometimes that doesn't really appeal to us because we want to keep pushing. You know, particularly in this culture, I think in American culture, we are can-do people, aren't we? And we want to get it done. So surrender feels like we are giving up and giving in and losing somehow. My definition of surrender, my old definition of surrender, I have a different take on it now, but for the first, I don't know, 10 years or so of ministry, of spiritual life, my definition of surrender, which I've shared with you before, is that I was going to surrender to God, and God was going to make me go live in a hut in Guam. That's me on the phone saying, help, get me out of here. And I have, you know, the thing is that I stopped saying that because we did have some congregants that were from Guam, and they found that statement a tad offensive. They said, Guam is actually really nice. But by Guam, I mean someplace really far away, and someplace that doesn't have some of the amenities that perhaps I have become accustomed to here in this culture. These days, I've been to several third world countries, and it's kind of my jam. I like going to third world countries. But back then, the idea of surrendering to God meant that I would have to do something that I didn't want to do. All right? Anybody else have that? Surrendering to God, David, okay, only David, but you know, we'll work on him. Surrendering to God means I'm going to have to do something that I don't want to have to do. Ugh. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, David. Okay. It's helpful to redefine surrender in more spiritual terms, in terms that are actually supportive of what the word really means. Surrender to God. Another word for God is love. And God is a love that we can't even imagine with our small brains. We can't even imagine with our ego brains. God is love that is without conditions. God is a love that just loves. It is a verb. It is love that loves. It is a noun and a verb. You know, when we talk about God loves us, yeah, God loves us, but God also, the love that God is also us. So God is love beyond conditions. How many of you would want to surrender to love beyond conditions, a love that is so great that it knows exactly what is needed at all times? All right? Love amplifies our true nature because our true nature is love. So if we are constantly surrendering to love, the aspects of our nature that are true, that are noble, that are right, that are worthy, the true feelings that we can have about ourselves, love amplifies that. Love brings it forth and allows it to express in the world. How many of you would like to surrender to something that amplifies the greatest within you? I want to. I'm getting excited about it right now. Okay? Love wants to love through us. How many of us want to express more love? How many of us want to express to the essence that loves effortlessly through us all of the time? I want to surrender to that. Okay, awesome, good. Okay. And by the way, if you're watching online, feel free to chat some little responses in the boxes because we want to hear from you on this. Love returns us to our true calling, to our service. So many people in this denomination, probably so many people in life, really, really want to know what their true calling is. I've talked to so many people as a counselor, as a spiritual guide, as they say, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And if we surrender to love, love can inform us and restore us to our true calling, which is our service in the world. So we surrender to that, which informs us of our true calling and puts it into action. Love is that. We surrender to that. And yet, even with all that stuff I just said, how many of us might go home and recognize, yeah, that surrender business is really good, but yeah, there's this other thing over here I'm kind of hesitant to surrender to because, again, think of the hut in Guam or whatever that is for you, something that you don't really want to do, some argument that you still want to have with yourself, right? Right? Am I preaching to the choir here? Everybody have an argument with themselves about how they're right and the other is wrong, right? Don't want to surrender that? Thought so. Okay. I know I do. So there's this hesitation to surrender. But what's really, I see you two nudging each other. Okay. So there's this hesitation to surrender, which is kind of like a tug of war. And part of it is that we are biologically programmed to avoid the unknown. One of the fears of surrender is that we're going to be like Indiana Jones in that movie where he steps off the cliff and he's afraid that there's nothing to catch him, right? So we are surrendering to a new way of being in the world, and it's surrendering to the unknown. And we are biologically programmed in our brains to avoid the unknown. Because the unknown is scary, right? Back when we were cave people, we were afraid to try new things, even though we had to. We were afraid to try new things. What do I mean back when we were cave people? Now we're afraid to try new things. I did not mean to profile cave people, okay? Just so you know. So we are biologically programmed to avoid the unknown. However, we are also biologically programmed to grow. I mean, just look at us. Did we come out of our mothers like this? I hope not. You know? We are biologically programmed to grow physically, to grow in our bodies, but also in our spirits and in our hearts. There's something within us that wants to grow. And it's interesting to feel the tension between the two, you know? That's why I'm pointing it out, is that when we are looking at the possibility of surrender, when we are struggling with surrender, we can say, okay, my biological programming is telling me to be safe, to not take a risk, to not surrender, to not step into the unknown. But then there's this other biological part within me that wants me to grow, that wants me to take a risk, that wants to express my perfect calling, okay? Which do you think is the greater principle? Survival or spiritual calling? Thank you. I'm trying to go for a little more audience participation here, okay? That's my plot, okay? That's my scheme, because I love teaching classes so much, and I realize sometimes in church it just feels like me and them, and I like it to be us, okay? That's my plan, so feel free to shout out whatever you want. Careful what you wish for, I know. Get off the stage, no, okay. That's why I'm encouraging people to play with the chat, too, in the Facebook feed. Yeah, I think that the biological programming to grow is much stronger than the biological programming to avoid the unknown, to be safe, to choose growth over safety. You know, there's one of the reasons I say this comes from the late wife of a good friend who talked about the principle of darkness and light. And how when you open a dark room, when you open a room, there's a lighted room and a dark room. And when you open the door, the light spills into the darkness. It's not the other way around. The darkness doesn't spill over into the light, right? You've all seen that, right? And I think the same thing is true for the higher principle of growth versus uncertainty or fear of uncertainty. Love versus fear. Love spills into the darkness and cannot be stopped, okay? So we are biologically programmed to grow, we are biologically programmed to avoid the unknown, but the superior principle is the biological programming to grow, the spiritual need to grow. And I give you Exhibit A, all right? Guess who this is? You know who this is? This is Ruby Luce, the baby of 2 practitioners. She's wearing a little bunny outfit. I don't know if everybody can see, but you know, take a look later on if you can. She is about 3 weeks old there. And It's funny, I brought this up about this idea of growth, is that I don't have kids. I've had puppies, but I don't have kids. But those of you who have had kids know that there is a constant expansion going on with all the time. And I was thinking about this in terms of little Ruby here, because her dad is on the board, and he was saying, we were checking in with each other, and he was saying, you know, when he holds her, like lying back like this is no longer enough for her. Now she's got to go like this and look around and look at people's faces and track things with her eyes. And when I called her mother Jennifer, I called up and I asked, you know, is it okay if I use this picture in this story about your daughter? She said, sure. And I told her the story I was going to tell. And she said, guess what she's doing now? She's starting to roll over. She's thinking about rolling over. And guess what else she's doing? She's laughing. She's laughing. She's starting to laugh. And I said, at what? She goes, at Greg. So perfect. And this is the truth. This is from the Talmud. Every blade of grass has an angel that bends over it and whispers, grow, grow. And if that's true for every blade of grass, think of the chorus of angels standing over each of us in all of our aspirations and all of our dreams, saying, grow, 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 come on, you can do it, Kim, you can do it, whoever your name is, you can do it, Lenine, grow, grow, grow. Can you sit in that energy within you and understand that something within you wants you to grow? And it's not growth in terms of achievement, worldly achievement. It may be for some people, but maybe it's the growth of trust and the growth of knowing that we can step back and rest sometimes, and the growth of knowing that spirit is in everything, and the growth of letting go, or the growth of practicing the art of allowing. It's all of those things. Whatever you are called to grow, it's not for me to say the way in which you are called to go. And some of it is growth by stepping out, and some of it is growth by stepping in, by going within and finding a deeper, higher truth that is yours to express. I have an example of somebody who practiced this urge to grow, who was stuck in her life and didn't quite know what to do, but did spiritual practice and awakened. Some of us yesterday, I saw some familiar faces, were on this phone call with this artist. Her name is Lily Ye. She's Chinese, and she lives in Taiwan now. She was an art teacher in a college in Philadelphia, and she was a good teacher, a good professor. She was moving along, on a career path, and yet she started feeling restless. She started feeling like her art wasn't as meaningful as she wanted it to be. And through that, she also felt like her life wasn't providing as much meaning as she wanted it to. And so she said in an article that she wanted to use art for social change without sparing myself. She did not want to spare anything. She wanted to plunge fully into using her art in a way to change her heart and to change the hearts of others. Now that's a big ask. Use whatever you have without sparing yourself. Talk about surrender, right? She went within and she meditated and she prayed and she continued living her life as fully as she could. And this voice came to her, this message came to her that said, if you can't surrender and rise, the best of you will not be expressed. If you can't surrender and rise, the best of you will not be expressed. I found that phrase interesting because so many of us think that when we surrender, we'll fall, right? There's this fear of stepping off the cliff. There's this fear if I surrender this thing that I'm clinging to, this thing that feels like it has kept me safe, that we will fall somehow, that somehow a shoe is going to drop on us, right? We're waiting for that shoe to drop. We surrender with a bit of trepidation, waiting for a combat boot to fall on us, filled with odor eaters. There may be a shoe that drops on us, but maybe it's a ruby slipper, filled with power and potential and greater love. It may take us a while to see it. It may take us a while to realize it, just as Dorothy did. She did not know that she had the power all along, right? But there is power in letting go and surrendering and sparing nothing and allowing the best of our life to be expressed through us. It reminds me of another quote. I think either I won't say who said it because I'll get it wrong, but Spirit, let not my music die within me, right? Emerson, Wayne Dyer, some dude like that. Somebody who used to be up in the flat choir, by the way, but is on vacation at the moment. And so she had this idea that she had to surrender, she had to rise, she had to do what was being called for her. She said, life beckoned and I responded. And then what she did with her response, just through a series of synchronicities, because that's what happens when we surrender. Spirit can get busy and offer us synchronicities. And when we have surrendered, when we are open to receive all of life's riches, like we affirmed in the beginning of this talk, when we surrender, we have the eyes to see. We have the eyes to bear witness to the synchronicities that come into our lives and give them meaning and allow them to guide us. So all of these synchronicities came into her life, and the first thing that she did, the first project that she did, was she went into the inner city in Philadelphia and she started creating art there. There was unfortunately, I couldn't find any before pictures. They were really striking, like crumbling buildings and stark walls with stains on them and cracks and all kinds of stuff. And she approached this man who was a drug addict living on the street, and she said he was the angriest person that she met, but somehow she knew that she needed to work with him. And eventually she won him over, and they started creating beautiful, beautiful art with paintings, and they had children there that were helping too. And the children said they didn't know how to paint, so she said, you can shake the cans, you can shake the paint cans. And ultimately, everybody got paintbrushes, and everybody painted these beautiful walls. There were no trees, so they built trees out of concrete and painted them in multiple colors. It became this beautiful, beautiful touchstone of grace and peace and healing and community for everyone that participated and everyone that witnessed. And then everyone that participated also started creating their own art elsewhere. That's how surrender works. It ripples, it multiplies, it brings grace and God to more and more and more corners of the world. She not only did this in the inner city in Philadelphia, she started going all over the world. Too many to name right now. It's a whole separate talk, but just all over the world. But one of the most striking things that she did was that she went to Rwanda and made a healing memorial made out of mosaics and paint and using the bones of people that had been in the genocide. And it just cracked people open. It broke people open to see that their loved ones were honored with such beauty and that such brokenness could be turned into beauty. That's what Lily does. She creates beauty out of brokenness. And part of the power of this message of creating beauty out of brokenness is that some of us feel like we're not qualified to do what we're called to do. Some of us feel like we're not qualified to surrender to what Spirit wants to do through us. But what Lily said is that her lack of qualifications were exactly what qualified her. She said that she had many deficiencies, but that was helpful for her, particularly going into foreign countries. She wasn't there as some artistic celebrity with some type of agenda, right? She said because she was unknown, people trusted her. She said because she didn't have a solid agenda, a solid idea of knowing what to do, she was in a place where she was free to experiment. If we're not attached to a solid agenda, if we recognize that our insufficiencies are really sufficiencies in disguise, kind of today when all the tech fell apart, it's like, wow, this could be really fun, right? Anything in our lives has that capacity to reveal our brokenness so that we can claim greater wholeness, not by shoving the brokenness away, but by embracing the brokenness and lifting it up to the light and seeing what it can create. The mosaic is such a beautiful symbol of that. All of these little broken pieces of glass and ceramics and pots made together in something new, something beautiful, something reconfigured. That is the power and the purpose of our life, to do all of that and so much more. Not literally, but metaphorically, in whatever way works for you. So a question. You don't have to answer this one out loud. Is life beckoning you in some way? Is life sending you a telegram? Is life asking you, like that angel standing above the blade of grass saying, grow, grow, grow? Is life calling upon you to surrender to something greater than what you have known as your limitations before? Is there a place in you that calls for deeper surrender? If life is beckoning in you and you're feeling like you're stuck, I am willing to bet that there is a place that is requiring deeper surrender. Surrender of something. Usually it's a surrender of an attitude. Usually it's a surrender of fear. We'll get more into that later. But some type of deeper surrender. How does the divine get your attention? Well, in Lily's case, it was restlessness. How does the divine get your attention? What? Phone calls? Yeah. God calls you? Wow, awesome. Oh, through other people. Yeah, yeah. Anybody else? Dreams? Uh-huh. Frustration. Coincidence. Illness. Yes. It's both and. Yes, and. It's all of the good things, the things that we would call good, like phone calls or dreams or rainbows or whatever it is. So far, I haven't gotten a Post-it down from the sky yet with a long, hairy arm holding a Post-it down from the sky. But, maybe that's coming, or Post-it on my pillow. But so often, it's the other thing, too. It's frustration. It's illness. It's something that we feel like we're up against that we can't transcend. That is that metaphor of brokenness again. Our brokenness is only there to call us into wholeness. And when we're willing to look at it without fear, then we can move into something greater. That opens us to receive all of life's riches, not in spite of, but because of. I always go back to Shakespeare, my brother Shakespeare. Sweet are the uses of adversity. Sweet are the uses of adversity. Not awful are the uses of adversity. Sweet are the uses of adversity. Yes, sometimes the divine gets our attention through distressing disguises. That's a Mother Teresa quote. She talks about healing people in Calcutta. People appear to her as Christ in distressing disguises. Everything that happens to us is love. In a disguise, whether it distresses us or lifts it up, it's all love. So when you're called, whether it's through adversity or whether it's called through a dream or some wonderful message on the phone from God or something that just inspires you, a great book that you've read, when you are called, will you surrender? Notice here there's a picture. It's very light. Sorry, it's hard to see. But it's two people on a trapeze. Anybody here ever done that? Oh, shut up. Wow. Okay, you're going to preach the next sermon, girl. Yeah. I still remember one of our congregants, Jennifer Merlick, doing her, we used to do testimonial Sundays, and she talked about being on a trapeze and how it was horrifying. It was so hard for her to do it because you have to let go before you can catch the next trapeze. And that's what surrender is like. It's letting go and catching the next thing. So how will you respond to surrender? Will you cling on to the trapeze, or will you let go and trust that your partner will catch you? Remember that giving up is not losing. Giving up is not losing. It is loosening. It is loosening. It is loosening. It is giving up the shame of adversity. Oh, I want to say, other religions are so guilty of this, of shaming ourselves for doing something wrong. And anybody encounter that in a religion, right? Shaming, okay, all right, never mind. Shaming ourselves for doing something wrong. But we do it here too, right? How many of us have said, well, I've said it. It's like, wow, I think I might be coming down with the COVID. I wonder what's in my consciousness. Right? Right? I didn't have it, by the way, just so you know, but it doesn't matter. It's that thing that we do where we think that there's something wrong with us if our life isn't manifesting perfectly. So we can loose the grip of shame, the shame that we have when we experience adverse conditions. The way to loosen that grip is to say, wow, again, Shakespeare, sweet are the uses of adversity. This is happening for me. This is happening for my growth. This is happening so I can have a deeper revelation of who I really am and what wants to express. We also release our small identity. Do you know that you are greater than you are? That you are greater than you think? You may know it right here in this minute, but I'm willing to bet, and there's no shame in this because we all do it, that much of the time we run around forgetting the greatness, the innate greatness that is implanted within us at birth. Implanted within us at birth, and that we are great simply because we exist. So we loosen our small identity and step into the largeness of our spirit. We also give up our self-imposed limitations. Dr. Ernest Holmes said that all limitations are self-imposed. All limitations are self-imposed. There have been, I'll bet there are many examples here. If I was in a class, I would search and amplify this, but there are many examples of things that people in this room have done that they thought they could never do. Anybody, just raise your hand if you've done something that you thought you could never do, right? Wow, you guys are amazing. And part of that was that you know, we might have started it with trepidation, but there was a self-imposed limitation that said, I can't do that, that's not for me. But when we give it up and start taking steps in the directions of our dreams, then something shifts, and Spirit is there to catch us. So remember when we said surrender is losing? Surrender is winning. It's a paradox. Oh. Never gets old for me. You let me know if you get tired of it, okay? But I like it. Surrender is winning. We win our innate greatness. We win the limitless nature of unfathomable love. The limitless nature of unfathomable love. Love that we can't even imagine, it's so great. And impossible turns into I'm possible when we surrender. The whole surrender thing is a paradox. It really is. It feels like we're going to lose something. In truth, we win something. One more thing. If you are afraid to surrender to God, you may have some old ideas of what God is rambling around in your head. You know, the whole thing about going to the hut in Guam, you know, that was an old idea of God. You need to get a better God, okay? You post an ad on Indeed or, you know, the newspaper if you're old school and say, seeking a better God, right? Or maybe like speed dating. Or, you know, how do people date now? Tinder? Oh. Well, thank you, Shanti. I did not know that. So you put an advertisement, I don't know how Tinder works, but you put an advertisement on it and you swipe left or swipe right, right? Left is when you don't want the God. Okay, we all need to swipe left on an idea of a punitive God who won't be there for us. Swipe right on the God that leads us into our greatest greatness, that leads us into our beauty, our power, our love, all of that. We need to get a better God. Think about something that you love deeply. Just take a moment. Think about something that you love so much, something or someone that you love so much. And just feel that love in your heart. And now know that God loves you more, so much more. Not that your love is limited, but that God's love is, again, unfathomable. Unfathomable. That is what we surrender to. And then live it. Put service to your surrender. When we make the word flesh, when we make spirit matter, it gives it oomph. We live like the truth is true. Live like the truth is true. That's what I said, okay? And all will be well, okay? One of the affirmations I've been using lately is from a song that we used it in the hidden gospel class, and I've been using it myself a lot, but using it slightly differently. I think it's a Christian song, but I saw it on a video where Sai Baba, the Indian mystic, was healing people. And the song is, I offer myself to thee, that thy will be done. And what I've been doing instead is filling in the blank. I offer my whatever I'm doing to thee, that thy will be done. I offer this phone call to thee, that thy will be done. I offer my sermon to thee, that thy will be done. I offer my home to thee, that thy will be done. I offer this challenge that I'm having right now to thee, so thy will be done. If you're willing, it's a powerful affirmation. It changes us from the inside out and from the outside in. The outer starts reflecting the inner mighty quickly. So together with me, let's say this 3 times, and in your head, understand what exactly it is you're offering. It may not be yourself. I mean, it is yourself, but it may be an aspect of yourself. But I'll have you repeat after me, and then we'll say it 3 times. I offer myself to thee, that thy will be done. And here we go. I offer myself to thee, that thy will be done. I offer myself to thee, that thy will be done. I offer myself to thee, that thy will be done. And in the spirit of that offering, in the spirit of the heart opening that we feel collectively in this room, let us pray. Return within to that divine source that is great, that is grace, that is power, that is presence, that is unfathomable love, that is all that I have spoken of and so much more. That beauty, that thing that lifts us up, that rises to allow us to grow, that thing within us that is all of that, what I've just said and so much more, that the grace is within us, the power is within us, the joy is within us, the peace, the love, the desire to expand, the desire to grow, and also the desire to surrender to the greater yet to be. And so together, in this sacred place, in this sacred time, informed and infused by the energy of this community, the energy of this space, let us know that we each call forth a greater experience of surrender in our lives, that we call forth a knowing that we surrender to something that loves us beyond measure, that is love itself, that we surrender to our own love that abides within us, and that we feel its energy, we receive clear messages to the next step, we move into greater service of that love, and we spread that love around the world. I am so grateful for all of the transformation that is taking place here as we gather in a community, so grateful for the power and presence of love, so grateful for this teaching and all teachings everywhere. I bless all paths to God. Synagogues, temples, churches, mosques, ashrams, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, all paths, all blessings, for it is all God. And with a heart that is so filled with gratitude and so filled with love, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, love. And I release these words. I offer these words to the divine mystery of the law. And together we say, and so it is. Namaste.
Hello again. I'm just going to say a couple words while you guys, the offering's happening. But I think this talk was like perfect for my second song called You Raise Me Up. It's perfect because we're surrendering to ourselves, to the divine, or whatever you wish to surrender to. And I just feel that I mean, myself, I have a lot of trouble surrendering. I'm still young, but you know, you always grow and you have to like surrender and, or not, you never know. But I just feel the hardest thing for me is because singing is like almost like my entire life, other than school and family and stuff. But I have a lot of trouble with surrendering my voice to God or a higher being or just to myself. And this talk really helped me just like think about it and like realize it and like bring it to like the front of my mind, because before I do any singing, I always do like a short little prayer to like ask for God or for the angels to like lift my voice up and let me help heal people and sing to everyone's hearts. And so I just really loved your talk, and I really love you guys, and thank you for letting me sing here like all the time. So I really love it and appreciate it. Okay, I'm ready. And just focus on this song. Just have it go to anyone you want and to yourself. So weary when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You
Thank you, Shanti. Great job. Okay, so I'm going to do the flower dedication to start. Okay. Where is she? The flowers are donated to Lucky Lynch. Happy XX birthday. Love, your senior sister for 3 more days. I don't think Lucky's here today. But anyway, yay, Lucky! Okay, and then we'll go our merry way. Here we go. All right, so turning within, I just give thanks for this beautiful, beautiful time that we've had together. I give thanks for the love in this room. I give thanks for all of us here by divine appointment to learn to love and to love to learn. And I just give thanks also for everything that has transpired here in all ways, trusting that it has an impact on our lives individually and collectively. That this is a beautiful, beautiful center that does good work in the world, and I'm so honored to be part of it with everybody here today and everybody here all of the time. And so with a heart that is so filled with gratitude, I simply give thanks for this time together, and I let it go, trusting that it goes exactly where it needs to go. I place it into the law of love, and with a heart filled with gratitude, I say, thank you, love, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God, and I release these words, and together we say, and so it is.